here, Kais. Meet my colleague, Allard.
Allard, nice to meet you. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Happy New Year, Allard. Best wishes.
Best wishes to you too. We'll make the most of it.
Yeah. So
have
go ahead, Georgina.
We were a bit worried we were gate crashing an existing meeting.
Sorry, you said Georgina?
I was a bit worried that we had joined an existing meeting and we were in the way.
No worries about that. So our friends are coming. They are joining us.
Okay.
All right.
So just to welcome everybody here. So you're all welcome. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. In about 6 minutes from now, we will get started. So it's really, this is how it is meant to be. It's a space for all of us to interact, to exchange. So it will be really conversational. So sharing thoughts, exchanging, and that's the idea. So it's really a friendly space for all of that to share our thoughts. So once we started, so I'll leave the floor to you, my friend. So Georgina and Alan, you'll take the lead. I'll be here to facilitate the thing if there is any question. So you do it your own way, okay, Georgina and Alan? Hi, John.
Hi, guys. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hi.
Looks like people are still arriving. Should we give it another couple of minutes, Kais?
Yeah. So
so looks like we've got people from quite a wide range of countries and geographies. I think I saw Portugal and Greece and India.
Hi, Olga, Mohammed Amin, Georgos, Khalid, Josephine, Anna, Shalini, Prabhakaran. So am I pronouncing it correctly?
Prabhakaran is okay, but you can call me Gopal.
Thank you for that.
Makes it easier for everyone.
Georgina.
I'm from Singapore.
Georgina, the COVID has made geography history.
Yeah, it's that's one of the opportunities of
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I think it's making it easier for us to get connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Josephine, hi.
Hi, Josephine.
Mary,
Happy New Year, Josephine.
Hi, Johnny.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. It's our old friends. Hi.
Oh, good friends, old friends.
Yes.
We met last year.
Afternoon. Yeah.
We met last year.
Yes, we went through the toughest times, right?
Yes,
together.
yes.
Good to see you.
Karam, you're very welcome, Karam.
Thanks. Hi, Saba. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, Murray.
Few more minutes more and then we get started. So we're going to be talking about team coaching today, right, Georgina?
That's right.
And I like the title, The Art of Team Coaching. So it's an art.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, the whole idea behind an art form is if you look at the work of artists, they may paint the same subject, but every painting is completely different. So there's something in art about really the mastery in team coaching is about really making it your own over time, putting your own stamp on it rather than trying to be and do what somebody else does. It's the distinctiveness that adds a lot of value. Yeah.
Two things come to my mind when I hear the word art. So it's about uniqueness and it's about beauty.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. Kais, whilst we're waiting for others to arrive, could you tell us a little bit about this community? Just tell us a little bit how you got started.
Speaks for itself. We're getting used to this. So we're doing it bi-weekly, and we have we're each time creating new acquaintances, new friends. So it's an open space for everyone to come and share, and and that's the beauty of the thing. So I know some of the people that are here, so we're already friends, and many of them I'm discovering them with you. So it's time, it's webinar, it's kind of excitement. So this is the question. So who am I going to get acquainted to know this time? So it's webinar is a discovery experience.
And do we have many coaches in this group, or?
Yeah, I think most of them are coaches. Yeah.
Most of them are coaches. Great, great. And you know what might be useful is hi everyone. My name is Allard, by the way.
Hi, Allard.
Hi guys. Might be useful, and I'm in Brussels, Belgium, by the way. So we're not quite as exotic as some of the more beautiful places that are attending today. I was just blown away by where's Mohammed. He turned his camera off, and Mohammed had this beautiful kind of background in the desert there under a tent. And in Brussels, it's just above 0 degrees centigrade today. So strange differences. But you know what might be useful in the chat box, when you think about team, because we will we will dialogue about team coaching today, and maybe just if you could type one word in the chat box. Actually, we should call it a dialogue box, shouldn't we? Why is it called a chat box? Anyway. In the chat box, it just write low, medium, or high to indicate your level of experience with team coaching. So not one-on-one coaching, but specifically team coaching. Would you say that's low, medium, or high? Just to get a feel for where everybody is at. There's absolutely no right or wrong answer whatsoever. Okay, all right. So it's a real mix. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll talk about it through our Georgina, as Georgina was saying, through our artistic lens, and we hope we really count on your participation today to really make it a two-way kind of event, right? And so we're not here with a long PowerPoint show to get through. We have some questions on our mind that we think will generate an interesting conversation, and that's what we want to start with, and then kind of let it emerge and see where the conversation goes. It always ends up going in interesting places when we let it.
Okay, so I think we can get the ball rolling. So we're on time, so we can get started. So let me, before anything else, start by introducing our guest speakers. Georgina Woudstra, she's an MCC certified coach, specialized in CEO, coaching CEOs and senior leadership teams. She's the principal and the program director of team coaching studio. Alan, our guest speaker also, Allard de Jong. He's a PCC certified coach, also faculty member in team coaching studio, and we're gonna be today talking about the art of team coaching. So that's mainly what Georgina and Alan focused their energy, effort, and interest on. So we're gonna hear a lot from them on that. I think it will be, as usual, an amazing webinar is going to be interactive, and count on everyone here to really feel free to interact at any moment and share his or her thoughts with us. So without further ado, Georgina, Allard, the floor is yours. So you lead.
Yeah. And before we start, I noticed that several colleagues have their cameras off, and I'm going to make a request for everyone as much as possible to put your camera on. You know what it's like having a conversation with someone who's not looking at you. That's how it feels like to me to sit here with a lot of cameras off. You know, a dialogue, a conversation, an exchange between people. And we'll have a richer dialogue if we can see each other and see who we are engaging with collectively. So thank you, those of you who have switched your cameras on. I can see you're driving there. That's great. Really appreciate it. And others, please do join and find a way to put a camera on if you can find any way to do that.
And drive safe.
Safe, yeah. Pay attention.
Thank you. Yeah, so we thought we would begin today by opening up with a little bit of a conversation. Allard and I are going to have a bit of a conversation about team coaching to kind of warm up the conversation today. We would then like to ask you to spend some time in small groups having a conversation with colleagues around what's your response to our conversation, to what we've said, and what questions emerge for you. And then we'll come back into this wider group and we'll take some questions and see where that goes. So that's the running order for today. After the session today, we happily send you a few slides that introduce you to team coaching, and that will have our contact details in there. We also have an active community of practice, which is free to join and to engage with coaches around the world. So if you'd like to participate in that, you're very welcome, or download a white paper on team coaching from our website, that sort of thing. So we'll send that out. I know people often ask in the chat, you know, are there any slides or anything like that? We'll send that out to Kais afterwards. And then Kais, would you be happy to distribute that? Yeah, so we'll send that to Kais, and Kais can send you details.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Great.
Guys, can I just double check that you have the ability today, as you're the host, right, of this, that you can put people in breakout rooms when we need to do that at one point? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, I think the team, our team got your message already, so I think that they'll do it. So let me check with them.
Okay. No, well, not straight away, but maybe for later, that'd be great, because as we can't do it, I think, from our screens. All right. So, bit of a conversation, Georgina. Let's start with you, if that's all right, because you've been at this, you've been doing this the longest. So can you just tell us in a few words how you got into team coaching, what that journey has been for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, probably like a lot of people here, I started out working with individuals in coaching. And my practice began in 1993, so it's now 27 years ago. And my work for the whole of the ensuing 7-8 years was all one-to-one work. And I enjoyed that very much. And I then was asked by a chief executive client during a session one day, said, you know, I've got a session, a day booked in, and the way day booked in with my team. And I was thinking the team would really benefit. Can you do coaching with the team? And I said yes, because I was excited by the idea of translating coaching to a team. And then after saying yes, I was a bit like, oh, crikey, what do I do? How does this work? What does this look like? So that was my first intro, and he was a very wonderful chief executive and very open. So it was kind of a soft landing. But I was still nervous of doing something that I had no real understanding of. So I bought a load of books. You can see I love books. I bought a load of books on team coaching. Oh, they weren't really on team coaching because they didn't exist at the time. They were on teams and what supports team performance and team effectiveness. And I bought books on facilitation and working with groups. And that's where I started, which classical team development really, looking back now, was where I started. Yeah. That grew over time, it was a bumpy road. I had some great experiences. I had some of the worst experiences where I just thought, why am I doing this? I'm a hopeless practitioner. I shouldn't be allowed out of my home. And gradually it started to, through a lot of reflective practice, start to come more clear to me what team coaching actually is. Yeah, so how about you?
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear you talk about that, because it does remind me of the fact that it's such a new field, and since you have been doing this for so long, I can only imagine that you had to kind of make it up as you went along, because not much of it was published or studied or researched, so it really feels like team coaching is where one-on-one coaching was, about 20 years ago, and that's when I started, and I remember meeting you about 2 years after that. So Georgina and I have been working together for a long, long time. And maybe like some other people on the course, I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I was also doing a lot of training work and some team facilitation, as Johnny pointed out earlier in the chat box. And then more and more clients would start to ask me, well, do you do team coaching? It was almost like clients knew more about this than I did. And I kept saying, no, I don't. So I kept turning down work because I sensed that there was something different about team coaching as opposed to other things like training and facilitation, or definitely different from one-on-one coaching, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. Started to dabble a bit, with, oh, well, don't you know, we have the GROW model and other things, and I'll just apply the GROW model with teams. And that went horribly wrong until I started to study team coaching properly with Georgina about 5 years ago now. And we've been really working together as team coaches, and as we've been called as coach makers, under the umbrella of what we've called the team coaching studio. So that's how I got into all this. Georgina, so having been, you've been doing this for such a long time. If there was one thing, or two, there must be many more, but in the interest of time, if there was one thing, if you had to say one thing that I know today about team coaching that I wish I had known when I started, what would that be?
Well, the first thought is less is more, and this isn't necessarily something that all practitioners need to think about, because maybe many people already get the idea that less is more. It probably says more about me than others. But I often work too hard at something, and therefore, read too many books, tried to get it right, tried to work out what the best way to do team coaching was. I had too many tools together. I wanted the best team model. I wanted the team to be wowed by the ideas that I could bring. And over the years, it's been a gradual process of stripping away all of that stuff, which I now believe is really armor. It was stuff that helped me get into the room, armoring myself to be sufficient in the room. And I think now, the art of team coaching really is being able to be very, very present, and to use our coaching skills to really work emergently with a team. And that sounds simple, but it's not. In some ways, it's easier to go in with the armor, go in with a lot of tools and fill the time with content to be enough. So I suppose that's the thing. I'm still on the journey with that. As you know, Al, we we're continually on a cycle of simplifying what we do and thinking about less is more and how we create more space for dialogue in our work. Yeah, and I think the other thing is I really believe that the work, we're only as good as our state of mind, and therefore so much of our learning and development as a team coach is about the interior of the coach. It's about our capacity to be able to, what we call, sit in the fire, to be with any situation that's emerging with a team, any degree of conflict or passivity, to be with that and create something from that. And we can only do that when we are masters of ourselves, when we can stay fully present, not be triggered all the time by feeling insufficient, feeling we've got to fix things, feeling we've got to step in and have the best answers, that sort of thing. They're probably the two. There's so, as you say, so many insights and learning over the years, Al, but I think they're probably the most profound ones for me.
Yeah, and that's again. I hear you talk a lot. We talk every day, but then every time I hear you speak, I hear something different, or it just hits me in a different way. And when you talk about armor, I really like that. And that feeling of, oh my God, I'm going to be with a team. I'm going to be, instead of one person looking at me, there's going to be a whole, I'm going to be faced with a whole group of people now. And it can be really scary. And so that armor, or the word that came to my mind was crutches. I got to go in there with some crutches. And we do that a lot as facilitators too, don't we? We go in there with the pre-planned exercises and things like that. And I think the more we do that, the more we actually do move away from what team coaching is inherently, which is that beautiful thing that you said about letting things unfold by sitting in the fire. And again, fascinated by that notion of sitting in the fire, because as soon as the tension or the conflict starts to rise in a team, we may want to jump in and say, oh, whoa, I've got to smooth this out, right? And but if we do that, then we smother, is that the word? We smother the process of the team, and we don't let it play out. And unless we let it play out, we don't really know what the process is that we're working with, right? So now, for me, real quick, just one thing to me, what I wish I had known is the following, that, and hopefully this will resonate with other people on the call who've done one-on-one coaching. We all know that in one-on-one coaching, what matters is the quality of the conversation between the coach and the coachee. Would you agree? It's the quality of that conversation, the quality of that dialogue between the coach and the coachee. And in team coaching, what took me a while to get my head around, so if this resonates and saves you some time, great. What matters in team coaching is the quality of the conversation between the team members. That's a real shift. Yeah, okay, I see some people nodding. That's good. And so I think to a large extent, your job is to build a container for that dialogue to take place in, and let that dialogue take place. And that's also back to, Georgina, what you were saying about less is more. We don't have to do that much. Once we get over that it's a lot of self-management, because once we get over that feeling of, oh my God, they're paying me money and I've got to add value, just like we probably had when we started one-on-one coaching. Am I getting paid for this? Yeah, so it's about that generative dialogue that you can make happen between team members. That's really where the magic is. Would you agree with that?
I think it's, I love that idea between team members, and it sounds simple or obvious when we think about coaching, especially when you link it to, in one-to-one coaching, it's about the conversation, the relationship between coach and client. I think one of the challenges in team coaching is how not to get in the way. So for people who are often skilled in facilitation, if you observe them team coaching, if you drew out the interactions between people, maybe draw a blob for each person in the team and put a line showing the interactions between people, oftentimes the interactions into the coach and back out again, because we're used to facilitating. So what you said about conversation between team members is massively significant. It's not between you and the team or between you and individuals. How do you get the dialogue, the contact, the relationship going between? Yeah.
And I like what Johnny is saying here, quality of the space created by the collective. And it really is, it's about the collective. And I think you'll find a lot of teams, especially teams that are used to being facilitated, a lot of those teams will look at you. They will, if you ask the group a question, they will answer you because you're in front of your, so you may literally sometimes physically have to move away.
Yeah.
You know, to let the team get on and really signal to them that it's not the conversation that they're having with you, but it's the conversation that they're having with. Good. Okay. So if that's where we're at today, Georgina, what is where is this field of team coaching at, and where do you see it? What do you see it as a next step? Looking at the future.
That question. I've been thinking about this a lot because my own belief is that the one-to-one coaching is a mature profession. You know, it's been going for, well, I've been doing it 27 years, and it's been going for a bit longer than that. And many organizations around the world know what coaching is. Many are informed on how to buy team coaching. Coaches often know how to talk with organizations about what coaching is. They know the differences between the role of a coach, the role of a counselor, the role of a mentor. You know, it's a mature profession.
Yeah.
And we have professional bodies like the International Coaching Federation and the Association for Coaching offering accreditation and credentialing around a set of competencies. So it's developed. The discipline of team coaching is immature. It's relatively early. It'll be taking shape, I think, over the next decade. And there's been, as there is in any new emerging field, there's been a lot of confusion, and there's been competition between people wanting to be right about what team coaching is and almost trying to claim a field and say this is how it is and this is what it should look like. I believe that, you know, in 10 years time, 20 years time, there will be as many forms of team coaching as there are one-to-one coaching. You know, in one-to-one coaching, there's cognitive behavioral coaching, there's solutions focused coaching, transpersonal coaching, coaching for well-being, coaching for resilience, coaching people who are recovering alcoholics, coaching for potential, coaching for results. You know, there's
love coaches. I've heard of love coaches.
Love coaches. There you go. There's a huge list, and there will become a huge list delightfully in the field of team coaching, because that's people bringing their uniqueness to the discipline and creating a unique offer. And each unique offer will resonate for certain clients, for certain organizations. There is no one size fits all approach to team coaching that's going to be perfect for every context and every organization. But I do think team coaching is going to be the vanguard. And by that, I mean, many organizations have reached a saturation point with one-to-one coaching. With the economic challenges and global challenges presented by COVID, presented by global warming, presented by the breakdown of the retail sector, all that sort of thing. Organizations, I think, will be wanting to get more value for money, and they can certainly get much more impact across an organization from team coaching than they can from one-on-one. And that's good news for team coaches around the world, because one of the challenges with selling one-to-one coaching as a service is it's new business all the time. You sell small little pieces of work and then you've got to find a new customer all the time. oftentimes, and you do a great piece of team coaching with a team, word gets out and you get invited to coach teams across the organization. And then it's more like a piece of organizational development work. So it's good for organizations and it's good for coaches and their practice. Yeah. And having heard that, Al, what do you think? What have I missed in there that you think is the future?
Well, no, I don't think you've missed anything. I like when you talked about COVID as one of the big challenges of the world, and there's many other big challenges. There's a big, the ecological divide in the world, the social divide. People like Otto Scharmer, in theory, you talk about this much better than I could and at more length. But these big challenges require that we collaborate better, that we learn how to collaborate better. And I think that is going to require that we think more in terms of systems. And I think this is where team coaching can play a huge role to help us start to think about systems. And so I think that's where it will continue to go. And I'm very happy about that because I'm particularly interested in that overlap between ancient philosophies, whether that is, the Taoist philosophy that came out of China with Lao Tzu and Zhuangzi and all those philosophers 2,500 years ago, but just as equally interested in Vedanta, in the Upanishads, and that whole idea that that really everything is one, and that everything is it's a web of relationships, and I think we have a tendency in the world today to divide things up in things, because that's very convenient. Or there's one thing, but forgetting that one thing is part of a web, the web of life, that space that Johnny mentioned. It's that, and if I touch one thing in that space, it's going to have repercussions somewhere else. And so it's about working with the team as a system, but then also helping the team understand that that team is part of a larger system, which is part of a larger system and part of a larger system, and connected to other systems. And how it's all relational. It's all relational. But everything is relative. You and I today, Georgina, are speakers because there's an audience.
Yeah.
If there was no audience, we wouldn't be speakers. And if we weren't here speaking with people, then there wouldn't be an audience. And so the relationships is, we have these roles and we forget that they're just one end of a relationship.
Exactly.
And so, systems in order to tackle the big challenges of the world. I just want to say hi to Leica. And some people, I actually know people on the call today. It was funny. So it shows you how connected we all are, really. Wasn't expecting that.
We switch into some small groups. Do we have the capacity to do that, Kais?
Yeah, we can do that.
That's great. Because I normally would have that button at the bottom of my screen, which I don't today. So I appreciate if you can do that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and just about let's go for say 10 minutes in small groups of, I would suggest 3 people. So get approximately
3 or 4.
5. Yeah.
Maybe like eight groups or something, Kais.
Yeah, 8 groups. Okay, great.
And in your small groups, of course, have a short introduction to each other, and then think about what's your response to what Allard and I have been talking about. How you've been impacted by that, what lands for you or what doesn't land for you, and what questions do you have? Yeah. And then after the 10 minutes or so, we'll come back into this group and invite whoever's moved to speak to offer up a question. How does that sound? Great. Okay. Enjoy your time with your colleagues in small groups.
See you back in 10 minutes.
See you back in 10.
Thank you.
Let's see if the technology works.
I'm working on that. Actually, the team is working on that.
All right. Okay. No pressure, team.
So Allard and Georgina.
What does it mean? So they are saying automatically. So what does it mean? So 8 groups.
Yeah. You. once you click on breakout rooms, you'll have to select the number of rooms. So just make that about 8, and then let Zoom put people in groups automatically. Don't try to do it manually. Just say automatically, and then you have to click on launch the breakout rooms. Or there we go. That's it. And then you have to accept going to your breakout room, and you'll come back automatically. Don't worry.
Right.
So who is the wonderful team member who just made that happen? Where are you? What's your name?
Who's our host? Who's hosting?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is
Hi.
Claire. Let me know if you need anything, if you want me to change participants from rooms or something, if you want to be in a certain room.
No, that's okay. I'm mindful that there's still quite a few people who haven't gone to their room. Maybe they're new to the idea so if you can still hear us,
yes.
That means that means you're not in your breakout room yet, and you have to click somewhere on your screen. There you go. Dimitris is saying, what are we doing now? Dimitris, you have to go to your breakout room. Normally there's a button on your screen that you have to click to accept go into your breakout room. There we he made it. Excellent. I'm also so this is a question for Kais, I guess, and I noticed we're being streamed on Facebook. Is that right?
Yeah, it's live. It's going live.
I wasn't aware that Zoom had that
feature.
Yeah, that integration. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't seen that before. Fascinating.
Yeah. And
it puts a recording on Facebook, does it?
Yeah. So the recording is going automatically there.
Very nice. Yeah.
And,
So
yeah.
Is Maha hosting us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maha is doing everything here.
How do you say the name correctly? Maha?
Maha.
Maha.
She's behind the magic.
Maha, wonderful. Thank you so much for helping out. Mr. Johnny, you have to go to your breakout room, sir.
I went there and there isn't anybody. So
okay, Maha, if you click on Johnny, you can assign him to a different breakout room where there are people. Sorry about that.
The room Johnny is in has 4 people, but they didn't join.
They didn't join. They're the ones that are still stuck on this screen, I guess.
Yeah.
So but you can assign them to a different room.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
This is live learning for you, isn't it? Great.
I like the experience.
Experiment.
Experiential learning, immersive learning.
But that's a good definition of life, right? It's one big experiment.
That's life, yeah.
Good, he made it. Excellent. Maha, you're doing really well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's keep an eye on time, but I think maybe at around 40 minutes past, Georgina, yeah. So at about 40 past, so not now, Maha, but at about 40 past, we'll ask you to close the breakout rooms, and then that gives people a minute to come back. They'll come back automatically. And we'll carry on. But we find it's often easier for people to have this type of conversation in small groups rather than in such a large group of like 40 people.
Yeah, it gives really more connectivity. So
more connectivity. There's a bit more for lack of a better word, but there's a bit more intimacy. So it's easier sometimes for people that otherwise would not speak up because it's a bit intimidating, a big group. In a small group, they will. And
so there is much learning about group coaching here with this exercise. So learning by the group.
Exactly. Yeah, virtual coaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely helps to practice the technology with colleagues before going in and working on it with a team. Yeah.
And I like the way you're leading the session. So
I'm glad about that. Yeah.
It's really friendly, easygoing. So doing it with peaceful, so I can get that inner peace while you're talking. So like that. Well done.
wow. Wow. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard on a call like this.
Yeah. So, and that's all about coaching. So you said something. So coaching is about communication, and for me, coaching is about connection.
Yeah.
So because there are many types of communication, so it can be verbal communication, but for me and through my experience, so there is another hidden type of communication. So it's something else. So
I love that. Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting, you know, even when you just think about the etymology of words, because communication and then community and common, I think they all share the same. It's all the same word, really. And so there's maybe communication meets dialogue, the meaning of where when you start to think that it's about creating something in common, creating meaning in common.
Yeah, and I think this is the question I'd like to ask. So, communication, is it about something? Is it about the message or something to communicate? Whether it's in the really understandable or not. So something I can communicate something to you, even without saying any word, and you get the meaning without actually deciphering the words. So maybe speaking about the emotional message you get. So you get that emotional message without being able to give it a verbal definition, verbalizing it, giving it some words. It's something you get. You say, I like, so there's something special about, he said something to me, but I don't know what is it about, but I can feel it. I can feel what it's about.
Yeah.
And I think in coaching, it goes, it takes that idea of individual connection and meaning making into collective meaning, you know, from the individual voices, what's the music that's being made rather than the individual notes being played. And that's where the challenge is to shift from I said, he said, into where are we at now? What have we co-emerged here from our conversation? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's it's not sometimes it's about that the verbal communication. He said something, so I got the meaning behind it. Sometimes I can't really describe that meaning, but I got it, and I don't know. So I call it, for me, it's the type of soul's connection.
Soul connection.
Soul connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah, guys, it's what we were saying earlier. We are so much more connected than we realized. You know, it's an optical illusion. This whole division is like an optical. That separation is we mistake diversity for separation. There is diversity, but that doesn't mean there's separation, and it's all a big illusion. Just for people like Bala and Juicy who came in, who must be wondering what's going on. Just wanted to tell you guys that all your colleagues are in breakout groups. Marie, I'm not sure if you got that. Everybody's in breakout groups for another minute or so, and then we'll bring them back, and then we'll take some questions and keep the conversation going.
Thank you.
Bala, I have the feeling I've seen you on another call before somewhere. Is that possible? There's something about that smile. No. Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. And Juicy,
absolutely.
Juicy,
My
we've
pleasure. Well,
oh my, and Juicy we know well. And Maya,
I
what a
hope
beautiful
in a good
picture.
way.
In a
Oh,
great
in
way.
a very good way.
Yeah.
So maybe Maha, maybe you could click that button that says close the breakout rooms or end the breakout rooms. I'm not sure exactly what it says, and then that'll start a countdown timer, and people will start to come back.
Usually about 60 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah. Normally it's set for 60 seconds.
People come back.
Hello, do you need me with something?
Oh yes, could you close the breakout rooms? Could you click on end
Okay.
or close the
Close
cheers.
all rooms. Okay.
Yes.
That's right. Close all rooms. Yeah.
It will close in 1 minute.
Lovely.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well done. That's the hard work over, Maha.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
She's our champion for today.
Yeah, you can grab a cup of tea and just put your feet on the desk now and. Yeah, so Kai, so that's the plan. When people come back, we'll see what questions they feel compelled to ask, and we'll take them in no particular order, as many as we can. And
Yeah. So really, I enjoy the way this webinar is going. So you do it your own way.
this is the great thing about working with Zoom. Everybody comes back on time, from the breakout rooms.
Yes, here we go. I love that.
Look at that. Oh,
Magic, isn't it?
welcome back. Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome back from the magic of Zoom. Yeah, honk if you enjoy this webinar.
But where is the click button for the honk?
Yeah, where is it? There's a reaction button at the bottom. You can We're talking about connection. There we go.
So I realized that 10 minutes in, that was 10 minutes, and sometimes when you're in breakout rooms and you're having a good conversation, it feels too short. But we hope you had at least an initial opportunity to start exchanging with each other. So we are really curious and just to see what big questions come up for you. And so if you're sitting with a question, don't be shy. Just there's no good or bad questions. Just throw it out there, and we'll see how many we can talk about.
We have from room number 3, Lekha, who is wanting to share what happened in our room. Lekha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Firstly, I apologize for not being able to use my video right now. I hope you can all hear me and feel me connect with you. Something interesting happened. We had 3 of us from the continent of Africa and our colleague Johnny from India. And although it's not a question, I feel like this is something, it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it. And it's definitely something I'm going to process more as I'm working in my teams. But we were deeply touched by the statement made by one of the facilitators, we're only as good as our state of mind. And we spoke about how we've got to work hard not to feel like, as the coach, I'm the black hole in the virtual room, and my team members rely solely on me making action, doing something, drawing things out of them. And I love what our colleague from India, Johnny, said. He said that the container is the space and the coach is the hub that's keeping the container warm. He said that the process is evoked and evolved by the space and the collective. And then Sonia from Tunisia added that, which I really loved this concept of our state of mind. She proposed, has the pandemic led us into a sort of a lulling? Are we now in an unfamiliar comfort zone? And can the team coach allow without interfering too much, can the team coach help teams come out of this comfort zone that we might be using as a crutch?
Wow, I'm so glad this is being recorded, because I want to be able to listen to this portion again, because there's a paragraph there or two which is absolutely beautiful in terms of its meaning and in terms of the words that were used. And like I want to acknowledge your ability to summarize all that in such a beautiful and eloquent way. Well done. Yeah. So Georgina, what comes up for you around that? I love the whole image of the hub and keeping it warm.
Yes, me too. It's the power of a visual metaphor in a way, wasn't it? Because straight away it brought to mind, a container like a big cooking pot, and the coach's role is to keep it warm. Yeah, and I think the quality of the work we can do is down to the quality of the container. So in my experience, some teams, there's a team I'm coaching at the moment, who are already a very mature team. If you think about forming, storming, norming, performing as a Tuckman, as a model, for any of you who've heard of that, they would be a performing team already. And that can make it challenging as a team coach to find anything to offer. They're beautiful people, wonderful team. They're a board of a charity. And they already have a great container themselves. They have formed a container over time. That means they can hold themselves, they can hold dialogue, they can hold psychological safety, they can co-create meaning. Other teams have no container or little container, and therefore we need to be able to create that for them and with them and gradually strengthen that container. So you think about that container on the hob, the stronger that container, the more the liquid in it can boil, the more work we can do. And that takes time. And this is why there's no one size fits all. I get frustrated sometimes when I read books that are all about a system and a process of team coaching, without that recognition that each client and each context is different. And we can only achieve in a period of time what's available based on that container. Sometimes all we might achieve is over 3 or 4 months is strengthening that container, especially if the team is in a very charged or toxic environment. So yeah, wonderful. I'd love to hear from someone else who's moved to speak, from your small group conversation or from something now. What do you feel moved to share or to ask?
Mr. Dimitri is raising his hand. Perhaps he wants to speak.
Oh yes, I see that now. Sorry. Yes.
I have a question. What's the best approach in a team that has conflict? How do we approach what's the best way to approach the situation where there are conflicts between members individually?
What's the best way to work with a team where there's conflict between members is I think what I heard, Demetrius.
Yes.
Yes. The way I understand this, and Georgina, please jump in, is that there is no right way, and it's going to be different every time. And there's a small diagram that is always kind of in the back of my mind. You have to imagine it's like a Venn diagram with three circles. Imagine three circles, and they're always on my mind, and they're labeled self, team, and situation. So self is one of these spheres, and then team is another, and then situation or context or whatever would be a third. And everything you do is or don't do is continuously configured by those three. And by self, I mean the coach. It's like, how is this impacting me? How is this? Do I feel up for dealing with conflict? Can I stay with this conflict today, or do I feel that I have the tools or the knowledge or the energy to work with it? And then the second one is the team, so how much conflict can the team hold or not hold? What would be most useful for the team around this conflict? Let it play out, or stop it, or ask, or intervene with a question, and then the larger situation. I mean, Georgina, you just talked about context and how each context is different, but even one context changes over time. And so, that particular conflict in a situation where one or two team members have, for example, just been personally impacted by COVID with family members or something, will be a very different context than, a year from now, hopefully, or a year ago, or that whole context of everybody having to work from home all of a sudden, or remotely. That and how that changes from week to week, and then the kids, and then the holidays, and then no kids, and then so self, team, and situation will dictate what the quote unquote best way is. Possible. George,
yeah.
What's possible? Yeah, what's possible?
Each situation, we're thinking through that lens of self, team, and situation, thinking what's possible here, and what does the system need to shift for the conflict to be productive. So it's making me think, Dimitris, of a team that I'm working with at the moment, who are the owners of a hedge fund, and they are a very conflicted team, so much so that there's quite a few power games going on. Two team members want one of the team members to leave and want him to sell his percentage of his ownership very cheaply to allow other people to buy into the business. There's a lot of bad feeling. And my initial work, they said, how many sessions is this going to take, and what are we going to do in each session? Which is the classic answer, the classic question you get asked: what's the content? What are we going to do? And I said, I can't tell you how many sessions, because it depends how far we get in each session. All I'm interested in at the moment is how we create a container, how we create the space where you can have the conversations you haven't been having, how we can create the space where you can hear each other and take on board what each other's position is and your needs and concerns. And they got that, they understood that. And so I keep it very simple. I spent the first session really working on them hearing each other. So I'd ask one person to share, where are you at now? What are your thoughts on this situation? I'd then ask another person in the team to say, what have you heard person A talk about? What resonates for you? What do you value about that? Where are you now, person B? And really working into that container and of their capacity to listen and hear and be with each other. Yeah, it's a great question, Dimitris.
Dimitris, I'm so divided between giving a specific answer or which might be completely wrong, and then on the other extreme, staying too abstract. So maybe one thing I'd add is I think a big part of our work as team coaches is to observe patterns and processes. That's why it's so important to generate a conversation between the team members, because unless there's interaction between team members, you're not going to observe those patterns. And if you see a repeating pattern of conflict, then your job may well be to not just notice that, but also name that. And just as we would do in one-on-one coaching, put that back with the coachee, in this case, the team. So you could potentially, I'm not saying this is the best way, But you could potentially say something like, well, I'm noticing a lot of conflict, or I'm even noticing some tension in my stomach. Just, you know, everything feels so contrived and conflicted. Does anybody else feel that? Or I notice that every time something, or I notice that when person A brings something up, person B will immediately shoot it down. Have you noticed that too? What might be another way of communicating that we could experiment with? But so give the team their processes back and let them work with their own processes. Otherwise, we're facilitating again.
The way I perceive it after this conversation is that we should observe, and the goal should be the perspective shift for the best interest in the project or the team.
Perspective shift, perhaps connection shift, connectivity shift, how we understand and connect with each other, how we take time to co-create meaning together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny, you've got your hand up there and you're on mute. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very
also,
much.
And Mr. CD has his hand up for a while.
And so Johnny and then Mr. CD.
Yeah. So I just, as Dimitri was making his observation, I just had an observation, and this whole concept of team coaching as a term is very new, but as I'm exploring the conversation and as I'm finding new meanings, I'm tending to see familiar terrains as I'm listening. So, for example, Allard and Georgina, you've been talking to each other or having a conversation with each other. The question that I have is, will this quality of your conversation with the two of you be different if none of us were there in the room? And is it different because we are here? And is that having something to do with team coaching?
Yeah, that's a very powerful question. The quality of the conversation we have in any moment is configured really by the purpose of the conversation and the work that we're there to do. So if we're in a moment of reflection, of listening to each other, in some ways you could think about it a little bit like reaching in, to leaning in to try and create new meaning, then it's a generative conversation. We spend many times in that where we are hearing each other and seeing what wants to emerge, and it's a wonderful experience. Other times we've got, you know, tasks we need to get done. What date are we going to do what webinar on? Boom, it's just, you know, it's more transactional, and that's okay. Lovely question. So the part that mirrors team coaching here is really, we've been working today to create a container for dialogue without lots of tools and bells and whistles, but really looking to role model in a way through how we are engaging.
So Johnny, there's so many other questions. So I can definitely stay a bit longer than, because I know the official time, we only have like 3 minutes left officially. I can definitely stay 15 minutes longer or something like that. And then we will invite you to a team coaching community that we have, if that's okay with Kais. We'll talk about that, but where we can continue the conversation, because there's so many, there's so much unfinished business right now. But and I forgot what I was going to say. Well,
one thing was, Al, that CD wanted to come in, and I'd like to invite
CD, please, and Mohammed and Avri, and at the same time, there's so many beautiful comments in the chat box too.
And before,
last two questions. Let's take two more questions and wrap up.
Take two more questions,
if you don't mind.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'll just come in there. I'll try to keep it as succinct as possible. You know, the way you're hosting this webinar resonates quite well with your the theme of team coaching. So what we spoke about in our group and what we focused on a little bit is quite a lot on the less is more. And we came from from perspective that, you know, one of the keys to the whole process is to create equilibrium between everybody, that everybody has the same platform to speak from. And you know that, you know, this you know, some of the questions that we might have had were answered in the conversations we've had now in conflict. But I guess so if I might be answering my own question, but the question would be, so is there any kind of structure that you can start off the process with to let it happen? Is there, you know, what is there any goal setting that needs to happen, that needs to is that driven then by the team, or is that determined in the conversation then? So that I guess my question, if I have to keep it as short as possible.
Here's a quick, an incomplete answer. But what comes up for me is the importance, CD, of contracting with the team, because you got to have a contract in place, a psychological and a process kind of contract in place with the teams. Like which talks about roles. So what do they expect from you? What are you there to do? What are you willing to do? What do you expect from them? And I think, and what is it that they most need to work on? So I think it's about that contract, and revisiting that contract regularly to make sure that we're living up to it. That's the starting point for me. George?
Yeah, I could add to that. I'll just add to that briefly for everybody. We've been writing a book on team coaching during 2020 that'll be released about May this year, and that lays out for you, you know, a structure, a team coaching journey, a process of team coaching. It'll be called The Art of Team Coaching. However, what we wanted to share today is to really offer you the idea that whilst having a structure and a process and things are useful, in a way, the real work, or the hard work, the development work for us as team coaches is to be present in the moment and to work emergently. And you could think about that as our own goal. However, for some coaches, it might take them 10 years to get there. Some it might take 2 weeks. Some we might end up with a hybrid version. It's all good. It's all good.
Great. So one more question.
One more question.
Hear me?
Mohammed, was that you?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Mohammed or Avni?
If we can take at the same time. So Mohammed question and then Avni, and then I give you the space to answer these questions, both of these questions, and wrap up. Okay. So Mohammed and then Avni.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Don't worry, I will take 30 seconds to give some analogy very, very quickly. For me, the coach for a team, it's like analogy with the conductor in symphonic orchestra. We have many players, difficult with problems and how to manage all these players with fantastic playing and conflicts, good doing on playing. Yes, voilà. It's only my quick.
Okay, nice metaphor. So
yeah.
Nice. So Avni, your question, and then we get back to Georgina and Allard.
Thank you, guys. So one of the questions that came up in our group, and we came up with our own answers to it as well, but I will not discuss the answer right now because I really want to hear from you first. So basically, one of the questions was that there are so many tools for team coaching, so many tools in the marketplace. You know, how does a new person who's beginning know which tools to use? So we had our own, we came up with our own answer, but I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on it?
I'll make a start on this one, Al.
Yeah.
My thought is that I often hear people say to me, which tools should I use? What's the best tool? What's the best frame? So they're focused on the object, something out there being right. It's almost like looking for a magic wand that's going to make your team coaching great. For me, that was a book called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. You know, I read that and thought, this is it. Now I'll be a great team coach. And actually, you know, over time, I learned that all of that stuff got in the way for me. Too many models, too many tools, having a script. For me, it got in the way. Now, that's nothing to say that that isn't a good model. It isn't a good tool. But my way of working is much more to do with less is more. I'm interested in less tools, not more. So my encouragement to everyone is to start with you. What are your beliefs about team coaching and the role, like Allard was talking about, of team coaching? And what is the work you're there to do? And what's the minimal amount of tools that you feel you need to support that piece of work? Now, who you are as a team coach, what you believe is your role, what the work is you're there to do. And just that, there's no right tool. There's no best tool.
And that ties back to Mohammed's question too, because if your philosophy or if your stance is that of an orchestra conductor, then that'll influence the way you work, and that'll influence the tools that you choose.
Yeah.
But
really good. Yeah, well put. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think with this, we come to the end of our webinar. I'd like to thank our dear guest speakers, Georgina and Alan, for the amount of wisdom they shared today with us. Really, it went very fast. So it was really simple, but not simplistic, easy, touching, and a lot of wisdom shared today. So I'd like to, as a sign of gratitude for Georgina and Alan, so I'd like to that we take a group picture and share with them. So a group picture to share with our dear guest speakers. So if we can open the camera, so with the beautiful smile.
And permit me to applause our guests.
Yes, so we're gonna applaud them, of course. So so smiles for the picture. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Yeah. So applause. A lot of applause to Georgina and Alan. So Georgina and Alan, if people, if our guests, if our dear guests would like to reach out to you and join you and share their thoughts and ask questions, how they can do it?
So they can find us on teamcoachingstudio.com. We will send you out some slides, guys, with a link to our community of practice, so everyone's welcome to join that. And that's an online forum where you can meet Juicy and lots of other wonderful people in our community. And we have community-based webinars, and you can hook up with us on LinkedIn. So find Georgina Woudstra or Allard de Jong. I'll put it in the chat. And we regularly post about team coaching, and you'll be able to connect up with us there. So we hope to meet you down the way. Successful team coaching, get into it. It's important work. We're here to back you and support you in your practice. Thank you for sharing time with us today.
Thank you, Georgina. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
So, great. So really, it's becoming now something really. Our community actually, this moment, this coaching corner is really becoming a space for people, a regular space for people to come and get connected to not just learning about knowledge, but get connected to some energizing and resourceful space. So thank you all for being here, and longing to meet with you in the upcoming webinar. So thank you all, and see you soon. Many applause for all of you, and thank you again, Georgina and Al. Thank you all, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Guys.
See you.